Welcome to another edition of the Live It Full podcast. This is Richard. I've got Kaitlin in the studio with me today. And if you're listening and you like what you're listening to, leave us a 5-star review, like us, share us on social media, go find us on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, spread the word about Live It Full. But today we're going to start off with a little bit of a quote, one that Kaitlin and I were talking about this week. She was talking about rest and recharge. And I said, there's a quote that I've posted before on Live It Full on our Facebook that I think goes right in line with that. And it says there are two types of tired, one that requires rest and one that requires peace. Because we were talking about the things that recharge us or the things that give us energy when we're a little bit burned out versus vacationing or trips or, things like that. What actually gives you a feeling of rest? Because we do have people ask us occasionally, like, you'll have a lot going on. We've had a lot of sporting events lately. We've got businesses to worry about. We've got kids. Obviously, we've got a pretty full life. Now, I don't always equate busy with fullness, but it's pretty busy. And some people ask, well, how do you do it? Because I would be tired or run ragged. And don't get us wrong, we fall into that trap. But we want to talk a little bit about that today. So I'll let Kaitlin lead off with the conversation on it.
Yeah, I am an introvert naturally, and so I quite enjoy sort of being alone with my thoughts, and that is restful for me. So, although I don't have to be doing activities that are restful, um, if I have like mental rest, then I feel more rested than if my mind was sort of cluttered all the time. And so things like I've written down just solo tasks with no disruptions. So, like laundry or cleaning, listening to music or just driving, my evening bath or morning coffee. These are all activities that you can have just little spurts of mental rest throughout the day. Because if you're anything like me and you have small children and they're constantly needing something, which is fine, that's how it is, but they are hanging on you and you are touched all day long and your clothes are physically pulled on, and it's question after question after question, and it's great and I can thrive in that environment sometimes, but sometimes you just need, at least me, I just need a mental um rest. And so one really good way, and I think it also works for Richard pretty good, is like listening to an audiobook. And you find that if you're kind of enthralled in what you're listening to, what you're hearing, you want to know what happens next, what's next. And so you find yourself all of a sudden coming up with 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, just to go listen to the book because you want to know what happens next. So you can find time to do that for something you really love, even though maybe the next day you didn't find time to fold the clothes or whatever it is. But if you can pair that task with something else that has to be done too, it's not physical rest because you're still doing something, but it's like that outlet that you're just by yourself, kind of alone with your thoughts, and you're allowed to kind of dream and wander um, a little bit. And so some of those sort of times when I'm experiencing mental rest, it's usually productive for me anyway. And I like to, I mean, I know this sounds a little bit silly or I don't know, but that's kind of when I dream about our future a little bit. I can kind of wander off in my own thoughts and I can go over my week or even just tomorrow, my upcoming schedule, um, you know, my meal plan, because I do that all the time. And so sometimes I'm making a grocery list at 10 p.m. When I could be just mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or whatever else, and just goals to work towards. I think these,
We do have Mia in the studio with us
yes,
today, so we
yes, that was
apologize if
the
there are any
squawking.
baby squawks in the background.
Yes. So anyway, I just, being rested to me, uh, is as much mental as it is physical for sure. And I can get a good 8 or a 10-hour rest at night. But then the next morning, if your mind isn't rested, you don't feel as rested as you quote unquote should for getting such a great night of sleep.
I think that mine is almost 100% mental fatigue and not physical fatigue. Not saying that I'm in the best shape in the world, but I feel like I can go 18 hours a day still, physically, and not be exhausted. It's the mental aspect that's difficult. And I think that's what brought this up. Is I had posted in our Facebook group on, I think, a Monday, a graphic that basically said you can't pour from an empty cup, which I think we've all heard that. And I think that one thing that it's easy to do with a family or with a business, or it's almost noble to put everything before yourself as a parent or as a business owner. Whereas, and I think that you're not wrong in doing so, because that's kind of the right thing. But if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't pour from an empty cup. Right. You can't give what you need to give to others if you don't have it in there. And so I'd asked our group, what do y'all do? And, a lot of the answers were I do Bible study, I read, I work out. And I think that those are all really good things that help you go down that path. I probably read. I know that I am always in a better place when I'm reading consistently.
Well, and for mental sort of clarity, sometimes it's not what we do, sometimes it's what we give up.
Yeah.
If something's causing you some sort of anguish, the news or whatever it is, maybe step away from that for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of our next podcast. I think Kaitlin and I are going to talk about a book from James Clear called Atomic Habits. And so, without giving too much of that away, I think that's a big part of it is it's not always what you're doing, it's what you could not be doing. And there's another book called Essentialism that talks about that. Every decision you make to do something, you're trading it off for something else.
Yeah.
So if it's work, you're trading it off for family time. If it's family time, you're trading off work that you could be doing. And so, but I think I definitely, so we talked a little bit about this, Kaitlin and I did last night, about I will take boys trips, so to say, and we'll go hunt in Kansas or in Montana and do some different things and spend some time with the guys. And I can't necessarily say I come back rested and relaxed, because they're physically demanding. They're not what some people might think of as hunting. They're 10 to 20 miles a day on foot, hard terrain, a lot of work. And so physically they're demanding, but there's something about getting your headspace out of everything else that makes a huge difference when you come back.
It's a rush that you don't get on your day to day. And so it kind of pulls you out of that for a little bit. I would challenge anybody. And I think Richard and I, maybe we're just selfish people or something, but I think we're really good every single day to find a little bit of time for ourselves. Yeah. There's 30 minutes or an hour every single day that I have, to myself, whether that's a bath in the evening, it's driving time, and driving time is really underrated. Like, yes, you have to be aware and you have to, obey the traffic laws, and it's an important task.
So to put that in context, my office is about 5 minutes from our office if I hit both traffic lights.
Right.
Kaitlin drives 30 to 35 minutes every day, both ways to get to her office. And so she has a little bit more time on the road to think, which I actually would love, because I like to listen to audiobooks and to podcasts, and I would like to have a little more time in the truck to do that.
I think it's good to think about the positives that we have, because there's a negative aspect, obviously, to commuting too.
There is.
When I get off of work, I would like to just drive around the corner and be home sometimes, but
there is something to be said though about decompressing on your way home. Whereas sometimes I go straight from my office to pick up kids. Mm-hmm. And when I get home, I have to separate myself for a few minutes, because I've already been in a different mindset. I go straight into the kids. Mm-hmm. I didn't have time to decompress from work, and it can be challenging. You can come home and I'm frantic because of that.
Yeah.
And where you've had 30 minutes to think about, to get things out of your head, to get ready for the kids. And I'm not saying you have to get emotionally ready to deal with your, shouldn't say deal,
children,
but to be home with, hungry kids after school who were scrambling to get ready for 2 or 3 practices. Yeah, it's a challenge. And so to me, I think that, that's a positive of it. There's some negatives. You're spending an hour a day in the car that, when you add that up over 20 years, is a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
So you might as well use it productively, which I think that you do.
Yeah. A lot of times I'm listening to a devotional or like a sermon, not every day, but a lot of the time. And some of my favorite things I've ever heard on Christianity have happened on those drives. So are some of the things that just have really driven a point home for me. I think that that's what I would sum up this whole mental rest conversation with is if you can't or have not found 30 minutes or an hour in your day to have just by yourself, even if it's doing something, like I said, laundry or whatever it is, like you can be doing something, but be able to pull yourself away and just be alone with your own thoughts for a little bit. Talk to yourself. I mean, do whatever it is that you need to do, and just that absence of the outside forces all the time is really restful for me.
Yeah. And I think that the important thing is you have to figure out what works for you, because we obviously probably have different things that mentally recharge us or refresh us. But figure out how to do it, because I know people will say, well, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to take it for myself. I don't have time to spend just on me. I mean, it's as simple as you don't love going to the grocery store. We do grocery pickups pretty frequently, but the times that one of us physically goes to the grocery store is usually me, and I don't take children. And I've actually gotten to where I will keep AirPods in while I'm shopping, which people probably look at me like I'm a weirdo walking around, like listening to stuff. But they don't talk to you either, so it's not a bad thing. But you have to be in a small community to understand that, going to the grocery store and everybody stopping to talk to you, which is not a bad thing. But I leave my AirPods in and I'll listen to stuff while I'm shopping, because I can do both and function well. I think that we try to multitask too often and we don't do anything well, but there are things that you can do and listen to something at the same time and benefit from it.
Yeah. Um, the kids, if they are all home and I'm needing to do something and I just want to get it done and do it well and kind of quickly, and don't want some of those questions and interruptions and all of that, that's when I'll pull out the kinetic sand or the Play-Doh or a piece of paper with some kid-friendly scissors for the 3-year-old. Hey, buddy, just sit here, only cut the paper, try to keep it on the table. But afterwards, I mean, sweeping up doesn't take 5 seconds. So sometimes some of those tasks are just necessary, even in iPad sometimes. Like, just sit down, be entertained for a second so that I can just go do this thing in peace. And I think that that's important.
Yeah, and I think that you and your partner, your spouse, have to be on the same page with some of that, to know that, hey, I'm going to go out and work out in the gym, or I'm going to do these things to help clear my mind, and understand that it's a necessary thing. All right, Kaitlin, I think that wraps us up for today. Do you have any other thoughts on it that you want to add before we say adieu?
I don't think so. I think that just if you are feeling like you need a break and you think it's physical, you think maybe you're just worn down and tired, I would just say maybe consider taking a mental break, because that's 9 out of 10 times what ends up recharging me on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. If you got value out of today's show, please leave us a 5-star review, like us, share us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, all of it. We appreciate you listening, and we hope that we can help you live it full.